It was a hot, sticky night in the city, the kind where you can feel the heat in the air and the tension building up in your chest. I was coming back from work, tired as hell, but I figured I'd swing by my girl Kiana's place. She was my best friend, my day one. We went way back, and I trusted her more than anyone. So when I pulled up to her crib, I wasn't expecting anything crazy. I was just trying to relax. But the minute I walked in, I knew something was wrong. I heard the low sound of voices coming from the living room. It was Kiana and my man, Marcus. They didn't hear me come in at first, so I paused by the door, thinking maybe they were just talking. But then I heard Kiana's laugh, a laugh that didn't sound right. It was too soft, too intimate, like she was trying to hide something. I stepped into the room, and both of them froze. Kiana, sitting on the couch, quickly moved her hand away from Marcus's leg. I could tell right then and there. My heart dropped to my stomach. "What's good?" I said, my voice cold, trying to play it cool. But the vibe was different now. My instincts kicked in. Marcus looked up at me, his face going pale. "Yo, what up, baby?" But I saw the sweat on his forehead. I saw the way his eyes flickered to Kiana and then back to me. That was all I needed to see. I stared at them both. "Y'all looking real comfortable. What the hell's going on?" Kiana opened her mouth, but no words came out. She just shifted uncomfortably, trying to act normal. But I could see through her. The truth was written all over her face. My best friend, the one who was supposed to have my back, was sitting there acting like she didn't just sleep with my man. "Don't start, Kiana," I growled. "You better tell me the truth right now. You out here messing with Marcus?" Marcus didn't even flinch. He just stared at me, his face all casual, like I wasn't the one he'd been playing this whole time. "It ain't like that, baby. We was just talking." I stepped forward, my blood boiling. "Talking? Talking? Nah, you ain't gonna sit here and lie to me. I ain't no damn fool, Marcus. I been peeping how y'all been moving behind my back." Kiana stood up, but she didn't even try to apologize. She just gave me that, "I'm sorry, but not really" look. "Look, girl, it wasn't like we planned it. It just happened." "Just happened?" I repeated, louder now. "So y'all just accidentally ended up in bed together, huh? That's what you're telling me?" The rage in me started to rise, and I could feel it burning through my chest. I wasn't about to let these two disrespect me like this. "You don't get it," I said, voice tight with fury. "You're supposed to be my best friend, Kiana. I told you everything, and you gonna go behind my back and screw my man? That's some dirty-ass shit. You're nothing but a snake." Marcus didn't say a word. He just stood there, not even apologizing, just acting like it was whatever. That's when I lost it. I shoved him back, hard enough that he hit the wall. "Don't even think about defending yourself, Marcus. You knew exactly what you were doing. You think I didn't see the late-night texts? The calls you thought I wasn't gonna find? You ain't slick, fool." Kiana stepped forward, trying to calm things down. But I wasn't having it. "Get the hell back, Kiana. You ain't finna talk your way out of this one." She froze, like she knew the game was up. I turned back to Marcus, my hands trembling with anger. "And you? You a weak-ass dude. Thought you could pull one over on me, huh? Nah, you ain't worth my time no more. You both can go to hell." Kiana opened her mouth, but I didn't want to hear her excuses. "You're not my friend anymore. And you, Marcus? You can keep her. You two deserve each other." Without another word, I turned and headed for the door. I could hear them calling my name, but I didn't stop. I wasn't looking back. My trust was gone. My heart was crushed, but I wasn't gonna let that weak-ass shit break me. I hopped into my car, slammed the door, and drove off. The engine roared beneath me as I sped through the streets, my mind racing. They could have each other. I was better than both of them. I didn't need to stay in a place that didn't respect me. As I drove through the city, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't coming back for no apology. I wasn't ever going to let either of them play me again. As the taillights of her car disappeared down the street, Marcus let out a breath and ran a hand over his face. He knew he had messed up, badly, but watching her walk away like that, All that anger and heartbreak in her eyes. It hit him harder than he expected. He turned to Kiana, who was still standing there, arms crossed, looking guilty but not saying much. "That was wild," she muttered. Marcus shook his head. "Man, I gotta fix this." Kiana scoffed. "Fix what? She's done with both of us." He didn't respond. His mind was already working. He wasn't the type to just let things go like that. Yeah, he had been caught, and yeah, she had every right to be mad, but he wasn't about to just let his girl walk away without a fight. Pulling out his phone, he dialed her number, straight to voicemail. He tried again. Nothing. He cursed under his breath and turned to Kiana. "I need to talk to her." Kiana frowned. "And say what? That you're sorry? That you didn't mean it?" Marcus ignored her and grabbed his keys. He knew exactly where she'd go, her home. She wasn't the type to crash at a friend's house, not after what just happened. He hopped in his car and sped through the city, his hands gripping the wheel tight. By the time he pulled up outside her place, he saw the lights on in her apartment. Good. She was home. He stepped out, walked up to the door, and knocked. No answer. He knocked again, harder this time. "Come on, baby, open up." Silence. "Look, I know you're mad, I know I messed up. Just let me talk to you, please." Still nothing. Frustration built up inside him. He wasn't the type to beg, but something about losing her for good made his chest tight. "I ain't leaving till you open this damn door." Finally, he heard movement inside. The lock clicked and the door cracked open just a bit. Her eyes peered through the gap, red-rimmed from crying. "What do you want, Marcus?" Her voice was cold. "I just want to talk." She hesitated, then sighed and stepped back, letting him in. He walked inside, taking in the sight of her apartment, messy, like she'd been pacing back and forth, trying to figure out what to do next. She folded her arms. "You got 5 minutes." Marcus exhaled. "I messed up. I know I did. But you gotta know, it didn't mean nothing." She let out a bitter laugh. "Didn't mean nothing? You expect me to believe that?" He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I swear to you, baby, I wasn't thinking. It was a mistake." She shook her head. "Nah, you don't just accidentally sleep with my best friend. That don't happen by mistake." "I know," he admitted, "but I don't want to lose you over this." She looked away, her jaw clenched. He could see the conflict in her eyes. She was hurt, but she still felt something for him. "Let me make it up to you," he murmured, stepping closer. She didn't move away, didn't push him back. Marcus reached out, brushing his fingers along her arm. "I love you, girl." She closed her eyes, shaking her head like she was trying to resist. But when she opened them again, he saw the hesitation cracking. His hands moved to her waist, pulling her in. "Tell me you don't still feel something." She sighed, her resolve crumbling. "Marcus." That was all he needed. He leaned in, pressing his lips to hers, slow and deep. She tensed at first, but then she melted into him, her hands gripping his shirt. He lifted her up, carrying her to the bedroom, his lips never leaving hers. The anger, the betrayal, the hurt, it all blurred in that moment. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was toxic. But right then, neither of them cared. Marcus knew exactly what he was doing. He always had a way with words, and tonight was no different. He played on her emotions, on the anger and heartbreak that hadn't settled yet. He knew she still wanted him, no matter how much she hated him for what he did. That's why, when he pulled her close, when his lips moved against her skin, she didn't stop him. She let him have her. The night was slow, heated, and reckless. Every touch, every kiss was a mix of anger and longing, like she was trying to punish him but couldn't pull away. Marcus took his time with her, making sure she forgot, at least for the moment, why she was so mad in the first place. But Marcus? He wasn't the type to be satisfied with just one victory. By the time the early morning light crept through the blinds, he was already thinking ahead. He sat up in bed, watching her sleep for a moment before reaching for his phone. He smirked as he scrolled through his contacts and found Kiana's name. He hit the call button, stretching lazily as he waited for her to pick up. On the third ring, she answered, her voice still groggy. Marcus, what the hell you calling me for? He grinned. What you mean? I'm hungry. Thought you might want to fix me something to eat. There was a pause, then a scoff. You serious right now? Dead serious, he said, slipping out of bed. I'm on my way. Kiana sighed, but he knew she wasn't going to say no. She never did. He glanced back at the woman still asleep in his bed, his girl, the one who had caught him cheating just hours ago. If she knew where he was about to go, all hell would break loose. But that was the thing about Marcus. He wasn't the type to get caught up in guilt. He played the game how he wanted, and right now, he was winning. With one last look at her sleeping form, he grabbed his keys and walked out the door. Marcus knew he was playing with fire. Tesha wasn't stupid. She wasn't the type to let a man walk all over her. But Marcus had a way of getting what he wanted, and right now, he wasn't ready to let go of either of them. Lying in bed, he stared at Tesha as she slept, her body tangled in the sheets from the night before. She had given in to him, but he could still feel the tension between them, the anger lingering just beneath the surface. He needed to flip the script before she started thinking too much again. He reached out, brushing his fingers down her arm, his touch light enough to stir her awake. She shifted, blinking up at him with sleepy eyes, before remembering everything that had happened. The softness in her gaze hardened instantly. What you looking at? She muttered, voice laced with irritation. Marcus smirked. You! She rolled her eyes and sat up, stretching. You should be lucky I even let you stay here last night. I am. He sat up beside her, his hands slipping around her waist, pulling her close. That's why I want to make it up to you. She scoffed. Yeah? How you plan on doing that? Marcus hesitated for a second. He had to word this right. He couldn't just throw it out there and expect her to go along with it. He leaned in, kissing the side of her neck, letting his voice drop low. I've been thinking, he murmured. You know I love you, right? She stiffened slightly but didn't pull away. That don't mean nothing after what you did. I know. And I know I gotta prove myself. He let his hands trail over her skin, slow and deliberate. But I don't want to lie to you no more. I care about you, Tesha. I need you. But there's something else, too. She turned to face him, her brows knitting together. What's something else? Marcus licked his lips, choosing his words carefully. You ever thought about switching things up? Her eyes narrowed. What you mean? He ran his fingers through her hair, tilting her chin up so she had to look at him. I mean, what if we stopped fighting over it and did something different? What if we made it work in a way that benefited all of us? She pulled back, frowning. Marcus, what the hell are you talking about? He sighed, playing up the honesty in his voice. I ain't gonna sit here and act like there ain't something between me and Kiana, but that don't change how I feel about you. You're my girl. Always. But what if, instead of letting this break us, we found a way to make it work? Tesha stared at him for a long moment, processing his words. Then her expression twisted in disgust. You trying to tell me you want both of us? That's what this is? He didn't back down. I'm saying, why not try it? Instead of us fighting, instead of all this sneaking around, what if we did this together? Tesha let out a dry laugh. So you think I'm just gonna hop into bed with my so-called best friend and be cool with it? Marcus shrugged. I think if you gave it a chance, you might like it. He leaned in again, his lips grazing her ear. I think you might surprise yourself. She pushed him back, shaking her head. Nah, you crazy. But there was hesitation in her voice. Marcus smirked. He knew he had planted the seed. Now, all he had to do was wait for it to grow. Marcus was patient. He knew Tesha wasn't going to agree right away, but he also knew how to get inside her head, how to make her see things his way. Every time he left to see Kiana, he made sure Tesha knew. Not in a disrespectful way, but in a way that made her think. He didn't hide it. He didn't sneak around anymore. He let her feel it. The distance, the way he kept slipping away. You wouldn't have to worry about me leaving if you just let me have you both, he'd say, his voice smooth, full of promise. At first, she shut it down. You really think I'm about to share my man? You got me twisted. But the more he left, the more she started thinking. The more she imagined him with Kiana, the more that jealousy turned into curiosity. Then, one night, after another argument about where he'd been, she finally snapped. You really think she's all that, huh? Tesha said, arms crossed, frustration written all over her face. Like she got something I don't? Marcus smirked, stepping closer. It ain't about that, baby. It's about having everything. You, her, us. He cupped her chin, making her look at him. You trust me? Tesha hesitated, but then she sighed. I hate how much I do. He leaned in, kissing her slow. Then let me show you. Just once. No pressure. If you don't like it, we drop it. That's how it started. That first night when Marcus brought Tesha and Kiana together, it was tense at first, old wounds still lingering, but as the night went on, that tension shifted into something else, something neither of them had expected. After that, things changed. Tesha stopped asking where he was at night because she already knew. Kiana stopped acting like the side chick because she wasn't one anymore. Marcus had them both, and for the first time, there was no sneaking, no lying, just the three of them, tangled up in each other, caught in something none of them had planned, but all of them craved. Before long, they weren't just messing around. They were living together, sharing a space, sharing a bed. What started as an idea had become real. Marcus had won, and he was loving every second of it.